Hello and good morning, everybody. It's Michele Maher here this morning, and I'm here with Claudine Pereira. Thank you so much, Claudine, for giving me your time this morning to talk about how we're keeping a positive mindset, dealing with this new normal that we're going through right now, while getting creative in our business and pivoting to online, whether it be business or even pivoting your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Claudine.
Thank you so much for having me. And this is it's a great opportunity to chat more with you and to share some of the things that I've been doing since it's actually been a couple of months now, I believe, since everything has
almost.
Yeah, almost 2 months. And for those of you that don't know me, my business is called The Pink Coach, and we work with business owners with all of the things that go into running your business. So operations, sales, customer experience, networking, money. And for the most part, my business is done in person. So I have an office in Ajax. I live in Toronto, downtown, near the lake, but my office is in Ajax. So when everything hit, this has been quite an adjustment for me, because I'm a real in-person coach. I love the in-person. I think there's lots of power in it. So to have to shut my office door, that was for me, my first adjustment in all of this.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So definitely having an office and a location like that, I guess you've shut the doors, but you still are continuing to have to pay rent there. It's just sitting unoccupied.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the owners have been very good. Everyone's looking at this new subsidy that's coming from the government. So we'll see what happens. But to sort of have to walk away and, have to then, just as all of us have had to do, we start working from home and seeing clients through Zoom or other platforms was a big adjustment for me, because I'm such an in-person person and love seeing everybody. Everyone, that was a very hard adjustment for me. So
yeah, you probably also had some events scheduled.
Yeah,
upcoming events scheduled as well.
Yeah, I had some events. I had I had a speaking engagement scheduled at a retirement home for their leadership team. I was going in to do some leadership coaching with their team, and of course that's all on hold right now. But again, I think it took me a couple of weeks to sort of, make peace with everything. It's almost like when you're going through the grief cycle, it's that. It
was, and exactly. I mean, at the beginning, there was just, everything was changing so quickly when everything was shutting down, and every, elsewhere things were shutting down. I really felt myself go into that fear mode, because there was just so much uncertainty and such a loss of control.
Yes.
For me, it started with the vendor tables that I had booked for upcoming events. I had made a conscious decision to make sure that I had some good events coming up, and I was picking, I was being very picky with where I was going to have my tables. And so I lined it all up, and then of course everything was postponed one after another. It's all been postponed to the fall, and it's hard to say what's going to happen then in terms of some of these were quite big events. So I don't know what, they might be allowing some smaller events, but I don't see them allowing 500-person event.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think so either. I mean, I have a couple of clients that are event planners, and one that runs a major networking event every month. And so we've made the adjustments and moved everything online, and actually we've made the best of it. And we've used a great platform called Remo, and it's good because you can actually sit at the table with 5 other people and have a conversation and see them on the video, and it's a private conversation. So I think if this has taught us anything, especially with me, it's really, allowed me to start to think outside of the box for business coaching. And, what are some of the things we can do to keep the doors of our business open? And I think that, I've seen varying degrees of businesses. Some have had to shut their doors and pivot online. And the creativity, the things we've been coming up with has been it's been a good lesson for all of us. And I've said this right from the very start. I think that this is a really good time for small business. And when we look at all of our businesses, I really feel that we're all being audited right now. Just like you have big audits in corporations, we're all being audited. We're all being tested. Our back ends of our business, our front ends, we're all being tested to see how strong we are during this time. And if we're ready and we're going to survive, and, what is this going to look like when we come out of the other end, and how do we want to be positioned?
Exactly. Right. Definitely. That is the time. I think it's not only the time for small businesses to do that. I think that we're going to see some changes from a corporate level as well, because some of these big businesses, like if you think of all the banks downtown and call centers where everybody's had to work from home, places like that were always kind of they weren't for working from home, to say the least. That it was always the 9-to-5 mentality. You have to be in the office to do work and that kind of thing. And I think they're going to realize that just because things were always done a certain way doesn't mean you have to continue it. Like I remember when I worked at the bank, if I were to question anything, the standard response was, "Oh, well, we've always done it that way." And, I think there's been changes since, and I'm sure they're progressing, but I think that this whole technology is going to be embraced in a different way going forward for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was funny, I came from the banking industry too. And way back in the day, we started to have a very small work from home project. And people had to jump through hoops to get on there. You'd have to send, the manager would have to come and look at your space. The bell technician would have to come and wire everything up. You'd have to have call monitoring done. And it was a big palaver. And now the same bank has just like this moved 9,000 people, to work from home in 2 weeks.
Right.
So it's amazing.
Exactly.
Good
that's what happens when you have no choice but to do something. And then you adapt, and that's what they've all done, is adapted. I also have a friend who owns a mortgage agency, and they moved 200 mortgage brokers to online from having physical locations.
Oh wow!
Seamlessly, everybody went to work from home, and there was no issue in terms of everybody getting paid or any any of the structure. Everything ran smoothly, no problem. So it just shows you what you can do, to keep kind of think outside the box and keep your ideas, keep your eyes open for doing things a different way. Exactly.
And I think that the good news with us coming up with creative solutions is that because we're all in the same boat, no one's poking going, "Oh, that's silly," or "That looks stupid," or "I don't like her hair in that interview." Like, no one's really looking at that. Right now, we're all in this survival mode. And I've seen such an enormous outpouring of support in the entrepreneurial community, is probably just like you doing these interviews. What a way to come out with something creative and have amazing, women on your YouTube channel sharing their story and their journey. So, thank you for that, because maybe if this hadn't have happened, you wouldn't have been doing this, so we would never get to see
I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. I mean, I just started doing it because I was just really feeling myself get into that fear. And then I realized that I have, a substantial network of people that I do know from, I've done a lot of networking over the years. And so I knew that I know a lot of people with such amazing, amazing advice to share, and also who have been through different, different paths. Like one woman, she's was living in communism as a kid, and remembered her mom with rations, and you're only allowed this much milk and bread every week. And someone else who lived through Chernobyl as a kid. So, there's been different, and other people who have lost everything, lost everything twice, lost everything and come back again twice. And, through the US recession in 2008, which was much worse for the US than it was for us. So it's just good to share these stories with everybody. So, that's why I wanted to do this. And at the same time, I said I was going to do videos for my jewelry for the last year, and I haven't done them at all, but this started me on this, and then I started doing some jewelry videos as well. So
excellent. So you got
this kind
pushed
of
into that
propelled
corner.
me.
Yeah.
It sometimes that's the way you get out of fear, right? Action.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think that a lot of the fear that I've been, seeing now in people, it's not necessarily because of this crisis. It's typically something that was already there in the past that now this is more coming, bringing everything to light, and it's heightened. But you're right. When you do take deliberate actions towards something that you're even uncomfortable with, it's not till you step outside of your comfort zone that really magical things happen. And when you do action, the fear starts to drop naturally because you're feeling good that you're getting something done.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that's, and when you say about community, everybody going, coming together, so many people are offering different webinars, seminars, workshops, things like that, as well as all the networking groups have moved to online.
Yeah.
And what is great about that is that it doesn't matter anymore for your physical location. You can get everybody. You can get the global. I mean, it's really open to the whole world. But so it's that from that perspective, it's great.
And that's something I've seen, that I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was on 2 networking events last week that ordinarily I wouldn't have been able to get to. And I met I met a lady from Trinidad and Tobago. She was on the call, and I met 4 new contacts in Texas, and would never have been able to reach out to them and talk to them. If it wasn't for these 2 events. So again, out of this crisis, good things have been happening. And I think that the challenge is that, social media, the news, what we're hearing is so heavy. And so, I mean, we need to know what's going on, given I'm not saying don't watch.
Right.
But it's really taken over from a lot of the good things that are happening in business and in our lives on a daily basis, because people are so focused on the bad stuff that, oh my gosh, we're still in lockdown, we're still this, and
Right. But then the media and the news, they sell negativity. Really, they do.
Yes, the propaganda is crazy.
It's I initially was watching the news because everything was changing. I remember just before March break, that everything was changing on an hourly basis, and it almost felt like one day was 6 months long.
Yeah,
because we had gone through so much.
Yes.
So that's fine, but I haven't watched any news or updates in weeks now. I just, like you say, we stay informed. We know what we have to do from a social responsibility point of view, but don't get consumed by that, because that's just not going to help you at all. And same with the social media. I've used unfollow on Facebook quite often.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I just want to see the positivity and inspirational things, and I want to see people who see this as an opportunity. It is really an opportunity, not only for business too, right?
But just for your life
in general.
And I fully align with what you're saying. And again, I'm not saying stick our heads in the sand and pretend nothing's going on.
No.
All I'm merely saying is we have choice. We can wake up every day and go, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to get dressed. I want to put on a blouse or some blingy, and look nice. We have a choice of how we want to show up. And we can either let it drag us down, or we can, buckle it up and try and do our very best to show up, because people are counting on us. Right. So this is the time now in your business to shine like a leader. And, what are you going to bring to the table? Like, my clients are all relying on me. They're looking at me to be that leader, to say, okay, what are we going to do now? The plans we made for 2020, what are we going to change now for the next 90 days? Because of, business shifting and, the lay of the land shifting. So I cannot afford to crumble. And yes, it's not to say that I haven't had my bad days, because I have. But it's what are you going to do to cope with that?
Right, exactly. And we've all had our bad days. I felt a lot of ups and downs because,
Yeah.
you know, to be honest, there's a lot here. It's quite, it is a big thing, this
Yeah.
pandemic. We've never gone through anything like this
No,
before.
no.
And so we need to accept, we need to acknowledge our emotions,
Yeah,
go through it. But
absolutely.
like you say, don't
Yeah.
stay there. Don't stay in a rut, and don't stay, you know, hiding in bed, which is
Yeah.
easy to do, but
And
don't
it's
stay
tough
there.
because someone will say, well, I've lost everything. I've had to, I've lost business, I've lost
Yeah.
money. And we all have, right? However, what are you going to do now to try and turn that corner? Right? What will you do because otherwise we're going to get stuck here. And the thing is that even if we've lost money, even if we've lost clients, and we've all been impacted in one way, shape, or form, like you were saying with the vendor shows, and me was speaking,
Hmm.
and some clients not being able to pay right now, but I still have what I created, and we all do. We still have that foundation. You still have your brand. And if all else fails, think about some creative ways that you can keep your brand and your name out there so that when this all does come back, people haven't forgotten you,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
It will be harder to restart everything in the next couple of months once we get back to whatever our new normal will be, versus continuing bit by bit by bit to keep the doors open, keep your brand, keep the momentum going, whether it's through video, online, exactly what you're doing here now, my weekly
Mhm.
videos. What can you do to stay top of mind, and offer that emotional support out to your clients and the world.
Exactly right. This is
Yeah.
the time to definitely serve your clients, and even for the people with brick and mortar, hair salons and nail salons, people like that
Yeah.
who cannot
Physically.
actually physically perform
Yeah.
their business. They have, I've seen some creativity there where they'll drop off your, you know, mix your color, whatever hair color you were using, mix it and drop it off at your doorstep for
Ah,
you to
great.
do it yourself.
Excellent.
I mean, because
Excellent.
they can't, you know, but somebody else who is offering Zoom coaching while somebody cuts, another
The
family
hair.
member's hair. And
Brilliant.
she will, you know, she said she's charging whatever, but for half an hour, you know, it's a
Yeah.
fraction of, obviously a fraction of what, the normal rate would be, but
Yes.
just to direct you on what to do. And you know, for some people that, don't want to go without a haircut.
And I
You know,
love that because quite honestly, this hairdresser could have said, "Oh, doors are shut. I can't have people in. I'm just
there's
sort of,
nothing I can do.
there's nothing I can do." And I this is why I'm challenging everybody, or whoever's listening today as a business owner. If you've been in that slump, there is something that you can do. There has to be a way. And if you don't know how to find that way, phone a friend, phone somebody that is creative and say, "Hey, I want to try and keep my brand going. Help me come up with some ideas." And again, it
Right.
might not be something that will bring money in the door immediately, but it will keep you top of mind for when everything does come back. That's for sure.
Exactly. And for people like that with hair salons and nail salons and,
Yeah.
massage therapists, people are going to be coming back. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to, you know, you will have a waiting list
Yep. Absolutely.
because people need that service, you
Yes.
know, they can't go without. So
Yeah.
you're
Absolutely.
going to have customers. It's whether or not you're still going to have your customers, or they've found somebody else online that they've been watching videos and
Watching.
thought, oh, I like this person, maybe, you
Exactly.
know. So that's why
Exactly.
it's, like you say, keep top of mind.
Keep top of
And
mind.
and we've got the
Yeah.
technology. We have the
Yes.
technology. It's, I know it's a matter of getting out of the comfort zone, right? That's what it is. People don't like video. Everybody has this fear. But once you start doing it, I can tell you it just, you
It's
know, like you say, you get used to it, and you're always going to have those people who might be saying, "Oh, what are you doing that for?" Whatever. But that's
You'll never
just
stop
life.
the
You'll
naysayers. You'll
never
never
stop
stop
that.
them. And you'll never stop the people saying, well, they shouldn't be promoting, they shouldn't be selling. And I think this is a good time. People are buying right now. People are buying.
Yes.
I've seen it. I've seen it amongst my client base. I've taken on new clients in the last few weeks. It's blown my mind. And again, it's just made me take a step back to go, it's bad out there, but is there a way? is there a way to do things properly now so that we don't completely have to restart? And I love the quote by Sir Winston Churchill, who was the UK Prime Minister, and he says, never waste a good crisis. To never waste a good crisis. And what can you do to triumph over many crises? I mean, and it's been going on for years. Right now I'm reading Richard Branson's book, and he's talking about Virgin back in the 80s, from startup to when he went across the Atlantic in a hot air balloon and did all kinds of crazy things. But he had issues in business, and he went through the stock market crash, one recession, and so this is not really new. And I think that we're so focused on this thing, the C word, instead of going, like, businesses have been never linear anyway. They've always been up and down.
It's always cyclical.
Yeah,
it is. I think it's just that we've never had a health related one, although there have been in the past. Again, there have been in the past. And
what do we have? SARS, bird flu.
Even I think it was in the 50s with polio, and creating a vaccine. But it's just what it is. I think we have to also look at the bigger meaning for this whole thing. And it's look at how the world is coming together. And like, I know in Canada, at least, the political lines have disappeared and everybody's working for the good of Canada. Like, the federal government has come to support everybody, and everyone is just working like, crazy, but just for the good of everybody in Canada. And I think same with the whole world. US is a different story.
Yes. Yeah, but you're so right. Like, you're hearing about John Tory, who I think Rob Ford was saying, well, the mayor is going to have to come up with those parameters, and they're all, they're really showing a good, strong, united front. So, and I've seen that a lot with business owners as well, really, stepping up and supporting other businesses that might not be doing as well during this time. So much good coming out of it. Lots of planning, lots of shifting, lots of business building. But it's also to giving us a chance to look at, our own rituals and routines, and what are we doing every day.
Exactly. Not necessarily business, but your morning routine. Maybe you've incorporated walking into a regular routine. You didn't do that before. What things are you going to carry going forward?
Yes, exactly.
A lot of people have also embraced meditation. Eating more healthy, because the drive-throughs are open. It's not the same. Like, I know for myself, sometimes going to these networking events, you might stop somewhere because you need food and you're always running late. I mean, that's, always running late. It seemed like the norm. So you'd be tempted to go through the drive-throughs, and now you're not doing that because because you're going to a place, you're at home. And so we're eating more healthy. People are learning to cook again.
I love it.
Bake, although I haven't even done any baking because I've been really focused on business and doing these interviews and so on. But there's a lot of good coming out of it for sure, as well as the opportunity to learn anything. If there's a part of your business that you wanted to, you always had an idea that you wanted to do a certain way, or even not even business, and there's some hobby you always, you haven't been doing for a long time and always wanted to revisit.
Exactly. And what a good time for change. I mean, we're eating, we've always eaten fairly healthy, but now we're doing things like squeezing oranges and squeezing lemons and grapefruit, and they're sitting in containers in the fridge, and we drink it every day because citrus is supposed to be really good for keeping all of these germs and things at bay. We had a fairly solid morning routine. We were up in the gym early. We were avid CrossFitters. And of course, now everything's moved online. Our gym here is closed. And, now we're both working from home. So our morning routines are slightly off now. So I still get up and I do my 5-minute journal. And then in between clients, I head to the lake and I go for a walk. And walking has been, my daughter comes every day and we walk together. And, you know, last week we clocked up nearly 60 kilometers in walking, because we'll walk for like a couple of hours in the evening every day. We look at the lake, we look at the birds, we look at the rocks that people are painting, we talk. She's telling me how boring things are. And I'm saying, look, this just reminds me of when we were growing up in the UK as kids. We had 3 TV channels and nothing was going on at night. There was no cell phones, there was no internet. Right? You'd go home from school at night and you'd sit down, watch your couple of shows and go to bed. This was life. This was simple, boring, eat, go to bed, get up the next day, repeat. And she's like, really? I'm like, yes. I said, it's just because we've all been spoiled now with technology and phones, and, you know, you can text somebody or phone somebody and it's free. If you wanted to phone somebody in the UK and pick up your telephone, even if you called the next door neighbor, you would get charged for it. So it's been cool to have these kinds of conversations, and I said to her, I said, you know, imagine if this hadn't have happened, we would not have had all this quality time together.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what a lot is happening across the board, you know. But on the reverse as well, sometimes when the relationships aren't so good, there's, you know, unfortunately some other, it could be quite the opposite when you're, you know, at home together. But
and I've been thinking about that a lot, and I'm fortunate we have a good relationship, but I feel bad for people that are not in a good place right now. And
yeah, for sure. And the other challenge is, of course, the kids being at home and the schooling. That's another story that I've heard some stories from people, especially for the elementary school aged children.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of other business owners who have young children have to go and help them for a couple hours with the learning because of the technology and different things, and so there's been some challenges there as well.
My clients that are mums that have small people, my heart goes out to them all, because it's so difficult. They're trying to build their business and they're homeschooling and trying to keep the kids entertained, and so they're not sitting on their devices all day. So, you know, that's a huge piece in terms of, you know, business owners saying, well, I can't get to my business because I'm homeschooling. Like, I can't do self-care. It's impossible because I'm up with these 3 kids running around all day. So difficult.
Right. And then you have the you know, both people working from home, and for some of us that were working from home before, but all of a sudden there's a spouse working from home, and then you have to navigate. I have a friend who she lost her office to her husband because he was on calls and loud. So she's at the dining room table now, but also she has 2 kids who have come home. From you know, university aged and beyond, and so they have to share the space where you might have had it all to yourself before. So again, another challenge.
Lots of challenges, but we have to figure out the opportunity in everything, otherwise we'll just stay there. So totally. And you know, some people have got it. My daughter's 22 and have young people around, and so, you know, I consider myself pretty fortunate. And so these are some things that keep me going. I look and I feel my heart goes out to some people that have got it so much worse than I do, and that some of us do. So
right. Yes. Now going forward with the business, you I guess what I'm thinking is going to happen as well is where people have live in-person events. They're, you know, conferences that are once a year that they have moved to online. In future, maybe once live events are allowed again, you'll continue with the live event, but also you've done that online, so maybe you have an online event and an in-person, and that way you can capture the audience, like we were saying.
Or you combine the two, right? So
yes, you have a live event with the online option.
Exactly, because I was thinking about that too. I mean, I'm writing a workbook that was originally going to be a business workbook that was coming out in the fall, and it was going to be sort of tied in with the day, like a full day of learning. And so of course my wheels been turning, going, okay, well, if this can't happen, then how am I going to change and shift? And I thought about that. I thought, well, you could have 10 or 15 people maybe there in person, spread out, and then you have the people that want and are okay with joining remotely, because again, we've tried it, it's tested, and that way you can capture a wider global audience. So I think so right away my mind goes to, oh my gosh, and then I go, no, this could be a good thing. This could be a good thing. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that goes back to the whole concept of getting creative.
Yeah, exactly.
And and the other way, if you are struggling, we have such a community. There's so many communities online, whether it be the networking groups or just, your online community that you have. Just get a few people together and start brainstorming.
Exactly. I mean, create your own little mini mastermind, focus, do a business building day and grab, 5 of your closest entrepreneurs and sit down, and each of you come up with a couple of new things you're going to do to move the business forward in the next few months. There's a multitude of things that we can all do to take this sort of tragedy into a bit of triumph. And I know it's hard, but what's the alternative? It's those little small movements that are going to move the needle on your business. Again, a little bit right now, which will pay off later on.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's just a matter of laying the foundation.
Yeah. Exactly.
And building on it, because certain aspects, I feel like it's going to be quick when it does. Get back.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't know. I just have that feeling that it's going to be very quick, and so you want to be in the place that you're ready to capture that business.
This is exactly it. Like, where do you want to be when this is all over? And how are you getting yourself prepared now for that time? Because again, we're looking at the side of things that goes, oh, there's no hope, they're not coming back. But I agree with you. I think that we've already seen in the last couple of weeks, this weekend we can go to the garden center. I'm super excited. So I have a feeling that, much like you're saying, that it will come back quicker. And are we ready? Will we be ready with our business and our plans of how we're changing to adapt when this happens?
Right. Yes. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Much for
it's so good talking to you.
Yes. It was great talking to you as well. It's going to be, it's hard to say what it's going to look like in the in the future, but and when live events will come back.
Yes.
But definitely the lesson is that anything really is possible, because who would have ever thought that everything would be shut down so quickly like it was?
Yeah, exactly. And
so if you reverse that over to, instead of everything being shut down, think of how quickly you could
it's going to come back.
And spreading, more community. I see a lot of collaboration in the future too.
Yeah, I agree. And just ask yourself the question, where do you want to be positioned when all of this comes back? How do you want to be seen? I know I want to be seen as the business coach that got my clients through this, and
exactly.
that are still working and doing their very best to keep their operations moving. That's how I want to be seen. So everything I'm doing right now is sort of leading into that. So anyway, it's been a pleasure, and
thank you.
Lovely talking to you. You always look so great.
Thank you, and I look forward to when we can see each other in person again.
Yes, me too. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Claudine. Bye, everybody.